4 years on from the first movie, we picked up with Nick and Audrey Spitz as they were set to go on their first vacation and relaxation period since the events in 2019. However, it most certainly didn't go to plan. With Vikram the Maharajah getting married and going missing on his wedding day, we saw Nick and Audrey have to work together to see who was behind the master plan to get $70 million for his safe return. So with that, let's recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from this movie. So let's get into it. Here is Murder Mystery 2 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Well, this was an interesting movie for sure. As we embarked onto the end of it, we saw that Audrey and Nick were essentially being made out to be the two people who were responsible for the kidnapping of Vik, and all of the other crimes that were committed while they were in Paris. This included the destruction of the city and the murders of the other individuals, which included Mr. Liu. However, we as the audience knew that it wasn't the case, and that Nick's face was digitally imposed onto the video. We were originally led to believe that it was going to be one of the main characters that was invited to Vik's wedding who was behind the kidnapping, so that meant it could either be the Colonel, Francisco Perez, Saira, or the Countess and her friend. Something which it felt as though wasn't going to be the case as the story moved on due to the lack of evidence and fingers being pointed, but it turned out that it was none other than the infamous detective and former MI6 agent Collin Miller, who was actually behind the elusive plan. He did it because he wanted to receive the $70 million in ransom, tying it back to Audrey's prediction that she made when they crashed into the cafe in the van. When we thought that he perished in the explosion within the car, that didn't actually happen. He climbed into a heat-proof chamber that was within the back, and he withstood the temperature and the flames. This was done so it would take the attention off of him as being the suspect, which it did successfully do. However, with one of his henchmen trying to retrieve the briefcase full of money and being hit by a garbage truck, it meant that his plan wasn't going to go ahead as planned. Vik's ex-girlfriend, the Countess, wanted to get revenge on him, and despite not being behind the kidnapping, the idea of having a nice sum of $70 million was an opportunity that she felt as though she couldn't turn down. So she got her friend to go and retrieve the money, which she did, meaning that she was the person behind the garbage truck incident. However, they ended up meeting their demise and it all being for nothing. It was only once Audrey and Nick escaped the location that they traced the garbage truck to, that they arranged to meet everybody at the Eiffel Tower, where we saw that Collin Miller revealed it to be himself and how he planned it all. This meant that they all had a face-off on top of the Eiffel Tower, with Connor aiming to get away with the money in hand, as by then, Vik had been returned to safety and there was nothing more that could have been done about it. However, after an epic face-off where we saw Audrey quite literally hanging off the edge of the Eiffel Tower multiple times, it instead got twisted around, and we saw Collin get dragged down after $70 million went floating into the air and onto the Parisian floor. For a brief moment, it looked as though he was going to survive as he stopped right before the helicopter propellers. But due to the fraying wire, which we saw multiple shots of throughout the face-off, he fell into it, which caused the helicopter to go crashing down into the Seine River, happening at a pivotal moment, as everybody within the restaurant was going to be fired at, meaning it was a happy ending all round. But that wasn't actually the case. There was a double twist, as remember, there were two parties involved in the crime, and the second person was revealed to be Vik's sister, Saira. Due to being jealous of the fact that Vik was given the family company despite her being the extremely intelligent one, she devised a plan in order to be able to get some money out of the company and to make him pay for the bad card that she felt she'd been dealt in life when compared to him. The late arrival to the wedding after the dance, the stain that was on the outfit, and the admission of guilt showed us that she was one of the main people that was behind it all. With Collin dead, Saira handed over to the authorities, it meant that Audrey and Nick were able to do what they wished for at the start, which was put their names on the Lovelock Bridge in Paris, and forever have their names there, which we did see occur. As they were there, the pilot from the beginning of the episode arrived and handed over $10 million to Audrey and Nick from Vik as a thank you, and he said that they could go on a break together. However, there was one final twist, which meant that the pilot revealed himself to actually be an American and not European, and he forced them to hand over the bag of money that they were given by Vik, which they did, and he jumped out of the moving helicopter with his parachute, leaving Vik and Audrey to need to navigate a moving aircraft and land it safely, something which we didn't see happen because of the movie finishing by then. However, the location of where they were could well be alluding to the fact that another sequel could be on the cards, and the third installment of this newborn franchise, so it will be interesting to see if that's something that's going to happen. Review. I thought this movie was okay. It serves its purpose well and it doesn't try to be something that it's not. I'd say the best thing about it is Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston's on-screen chemistry. You can tell that they've worked together before and are veterans in the industry now by the way that they just command your attention when they're on screen. Their dialogue and performance bounced off of each other well, so it was easy to believe the roles that they were playing. So I did very much appreciate and enjoy that. The story was one that, although it doesn't necessarily have the gripping nature of a traditional murder mystery and much-loved whodunits, there is a part of you that does find yourself constantly guessing who could be behind the kidnapping and the crime that was taking place. So that is a positive, as you do find yourself constantly engaged and looking to see who's going to be revealed as the culprit at the end. It's got the blueprints of a murder mystery, but it's just been done in a slightly different way with an intentional reason for the change, almost a play on it. It's a very ridiculous movie in the tone that it adopts and the type of comedy that it conveys. It's a classic Adam Sandler style movie from the 90s but brought forward to the modern day, but I think it has its charm. In a world that doesn't really do straight out comedy movies anymore, I think this one shows that there can be room for them if they're done right. I didn't go into it expecting that much, so my expectations weren't set that high, which I think is something that allowed them to be exceeded with the second installment. Do I think there's room for this to become a newfound series? Personally, I don't think so. After 2, it already feels like it's been done before, and as time moves on, the style of comedy is something that I think will also change, which would just make it feel as though it's not aged that well. It wouldn't surprise me if it does get another one though, due to the success of the first and the fact that it's got 2 big names in, something that Netflix doesn't often manage to get when compared to the other platforms. The timing for this one was actually quite well timed. With murder mysteries being all the rage at the moment with Knives Out and Glass Onion, I think that also went in its favour slightly, which meant that the story felt a bit more relevant. I'll be intrigued to see if they do decide to add another movie to the collection, and if it does get released, I will most probably watch it. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes, so you don't lose much time. If it was any longer, I feel as though it would feel as though you were. It's hard to hate a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously and is aware of what it is, so for that reason, I'm okay with this one. So, there you have it, Murder Mystery 2 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this second movie? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.